our siblings, Garcia, is me Jason as of right now. Hey, Des Garcia, welcome in. And thank you for tipping that for delay. Yeah, we're gonna have a good conversation for you tonight. And it's definitely gonna be a good one. We'll talk about a reboot to a classic cartoon, The Magic School Bus. And this show is The Magic School Bus Rise Again. We'll talk about episodes 1 and 2, and I will just say this will be a interesting conversation. Yeah. Now we all wanted to see if our talk co-host is gonna make a appearance tonight. Yeah, thank you, Matt, for the TNT raid. Up and down she is.
I don't know what's going on tonight. The phone didn't ding. I had Facebook on the computer. That didn't go off. No sound, no nothing. I looked. I think.
Yeah,
I told
like.
DJ you were fired.
Yes,
Oh no.
guys, we do get Nancy Wills tonight.
Yeah, it didn't go off my phone or nothing. I'm just like, I'm sitting there playing the continue game, and I'm just like, I know my phone will ding when he sends me the link, and nothing. It doesn't.
Yeah,
Whatever.
so on, Simon. Yeah, hey, Brenda Grace here. Okay, guys, like I was just saying, we have a good show for you tonight. And, let's dive into it, shall we? Now, like I said, we'll talk about the Magic School Bus lives again. So, I would believe that everyone here knows the Magic School Bus. Now, never, if you did not have kids in the 90s, early 2000s, you might not know what the show was, and this reboot might be your first time hearing about it. But for those who were parents in the early 2000s, or you went to elementary school during that time, you know what the magic school bus is. But anyways, the magic school bus once again saves us return to. And this is a generic elementary school, and we're in a science class with, what was it, 7 kids?
It's like 7, maybe 8.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's like 4 girls and 4 boys.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. I knew it was like an even number, but I didn't remember what the ratio was. But this, will, it basically feels like it picks up with the original take took off, if you know what I'm saying. It's basically, it continued the storyline of, oh, it's another school year, time for another field trip with the friends. Miss Frizzle, who is our main teacher, but it's not the same as Frizzle that we know. The previous Miss Frizzle now has her PhD in weird science. That's what I'm calling it anyways. And, our younger sister, Vienna Frizzle, takes over the class. And, the one character that you need to know their name for in this episode is Arnold, because they continue with his character trope of not wanting to go on field trips. Now, Arnold is your typical nerdy kid who doesn't like change. And I would say definitely it's evident in the first 2 minutes of the show. Now, I will say this, and I will, it's honest probably, I can't really do a one-to-one because I don't remember the first episode of the original series, so I'm gonna make the assumption that it's a similar situation of him being afraid of the false field trip, but because they have Professor Frizzle in the classroom for the first 5 minutes, he does tell her how controls, and I would definitely say I like that they didn't, you know, automatically say, hey, this is Mitch Frizzle, the one you knew is no more, if you know what I mean. So,
Mm-hmm.
I like the character transition they have between the new and the old. I mean, now I will say one thing I would have liked them to do, and I totally understand why they didn't, but I would have liked to see Liz go off with Professor Frizzle, and the new Miss Frizzle had her own unique companion. So, but let me take break and ask, what do you guys think about the simple?
I like it. I think it was great. I kind of understand why they kept Liz with the new Miss Frizzle because she already knew how to work the bus and everything, and they gave the original Miss Frizzle a new mascot type thing to go with her. No, Professor Frizzle. So I understand that, but I also liked it that they kept the same song from the original to the new one that I liked also. So I was because you sit there and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that song. Now the difference between the new Magic School Bus and the old one, and I don't know if Jason will remember, but the original Magic School Bus, you don't remember it?
We'll get to my part in a second.
Okay. The original Magic School Bus, they had an actual phone number at the end that the kids could call and ask questions, and they would get answers and everything. Because I remember I said to my son, I said, oh, let's call. And he always called the number because we were wanting to know what the question, if they would answer his question. So that was cool. But yeah, I like that they kept it the same type of theme and everything, and Arnold the same way. And the only change they did was one of the girls went left and went back to her original school, and they brought in a new girl, Jyoti. So I thought that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, when the original Magnet School Bus came out, I was in high school. So y'all remember that Nancy just said her son, he was of school age where that was a show that he would watch. And like DJ was saying earlier, this is one of those shows that they would play in school as well. Now for me, like one of the shows they played when I was in school was like Reading Rainbow. And even though I never really watched the show, I knew it was one of those shows that they were playing in schools because I did have a nephew that was coming up in that similar time frame. So I'm familiar with the show, the original one, because of my nephew, but I never really watched the original. So when the original came out, I was watching anime. I was like watching Ninja Scroll and some titles I'm not going to say on DJ's channel and Ghost in the Shell. I was watching stuff like that, right? You know, you're more your anime type shows, and I wasn't really watching a lot of stuff on PBS. And this was one of those PBS shows that if you were to see it at home, it was most likely on PBS, public broadcasting
No,
station or system it was called.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
So for me, being familiar with it, I didn't really know what to expect, right? So my first thoughts were when I heard the song, I said, I wonder if this is the original song that maybe they fancied up or if it's the same. I didn't know until Nancy said, or maybe DJ might have mentioned it earlier, but I know Nancy said they kept the original song. You know, there's a lot of elements like that that I didn't know of. And another aspect for this type of show for me, and I got to be honest with you, I struggled a little bit watching this because from my days of having kids, and Nancy probably goes through this and does this now with having Anastasia with her grandchild. But you know, as a parent, I always took it upon myself to make sure I knew what my kids were watching, what those shows were talking about, and teaching them. So even if I didn't necessarily like them, I watched a lot of them so I could understand what they're being exposed to,
right.
right? And make sure, especially in cases like this where it's an educational one, make sure that they're getting stuff right because not all shows get things right. And I do like the approach they were taking, like in these two episodes that we watched in the first one, of how they were doing education. Hang on, I'm sorry. Let me mute my phone.
Okay.
But the way they were doing the education. So when I was watching this, I was watching it not from a to enjoy it as a show I'm going to watch, but that old dad mind frame of mine turned on. I was watching it more of monitoring this for a kid to watch, right? You know, if my kids were watching this, how would I feel about it? You know, and making recommendations for other parents, like, hey, is this a good show or not? And so from that perspective, that's how I viewed it. I didn't watch it as this is a cartoon I'm going to enjoy. It was like, I got to do my homework.
Yeah.
Yes. It was a different, it was a different experience for me. Not really being familiar with the original one and not being a parent of, my kids were out of that age by the time this came out in 2018, I believe.
Yeah.
So, my kids were way beyond those shows. Matter of fact, my kids were watching animes at that time. So, yeah, more or less kind of like I did when I was similar age. So I did struggle a little bit with this, but, I did get through them. I might not have made it all the way to the end of the second one, but I had some stuff come up. But I think I got I got all the way through the second one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like I said, it was a different type of viewing experience for me. So, and I'm not necessarily knocking the show, but like I said, I'm looking at this as I'm watching it. Is it okay for a kid to watch? How would I feel about my kids, or if my kids ever have kids, my grandkids watching this show?
Yeah. Yeah.
A young child watching the show. And when it comes to that, I think this show is fine. I do like the educational approaches they took with, how they were talking about, they're talking about ecosystems in the first one and how they were going about that. But one thing that I'll just go in and mention, something I noticed between the two episodes, I won't talk about the second episode yet because we've not really got there, but just one thing that I'm noticing a trend. And y'all can tell me if this was similar in the original Magic School Bus, but the trend was each episode, not only are they trying to teach, educational values, it's a science class, and they're talking about science type things, right? They're showing how different parts work and different things work and the flow of things in nature and all that. But what I'm seeing right now in both episodes, one of the children was wrong about something or was doing something, not necessarily immoral, but that wasn't necessarily right. Like you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't think that way. And I don't know if the original one was like that. And I see where they were coming from, but that's another thing that as a parent, it's kind of like they are adding like a negative element, like they're making that kid look bad. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because that happens. You have that in your classes. As a matter of fact, you probably have less kids that are doing things like perfectly. And most of the kids are probably more like that one child in there. So that's a trend that I noticed between two episodes is you got that one kid that's like throwing a fit, having a temper tantrum. So they're trying to like not only are they teaching about like the scientific education, but they're also trying to teach behavioral as well. Which
Yeah.
like I said, it's kind of a needed aspect in these type of shows because they're battling, they're teaching two different things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I would agree with that, Jason. I mean, shows like this, they all teach you know, two different lessons with one show. One offers the, you know, science of the show. That makes sense. But, they're also teaching emotional behavior and, I will, like Jason, I won't go into it yet, but definitely in episode 2, there was
Just
some,
say it, DJ. That girl was being a brat.
yeah, I mean, there was bratty behavior demonstrated, and, you know, she was making, oh, okay, because it's a culture reference, she was like Angelica from the Rugrats.
But more annoying.
Yes, yes, more annoying, but that's how I would put that for right now.
If she was my child, she wouldn't be getting no dang ice cream.
And definitely not. But back to the first episode, I'm gonna dive into the more ecosystem lesson that they will teach you with, you know, they will teach you how, everything in an ecosystem can work together and how if a invasive species comes in and isn't controlled, it can take over. I mean, the best example real life I could give is, if a random plant was to make it here into the U.S., that could go out of control, Haiti, and, that could harm all, food supply and, basically cause us to become extinct. Now, would it be insect like the plant itself? No. I mean, it won't be like a need to say in a pot plant that will grow out of control in matter of seconds. I mean, go ahead.
I have to say, one of my favorite parts of of what we watched here was dealing with that plant. When that plant started smacking that one little girl, it was like, which is.
Yeah. And
I mean, it was pimp smacking that girl. I mean,
yeah,
honestly, this is the only way you can describe it.
yeah, no, I mean, but yeah, it was good. I liked it. But they time travel to the future, and I will say just before I go into the plant ended up in the Galapagos Islands. So, a ecosystem that's, untouched pretty much. So, but, they try to future kids, and one of them said, hey guys, let me bring up, the Galapagos crisis from 20 years ago. So they went back to the island. They see that the plant got basically took over the whole island, and they tried to control it with rabbits, but that also got out of control. So, yeah, basically, they said that if they did not get the plant in present day, that would be the future.
And that also played in with that behavioral education part too, with the way the plant actually ended up on the island. Was the kid DJ mentioned earlier who didn't like change? He was ditching the plant there because the
Yeah,
plant belonged to the new teacher. He didn't want the new teacher because he doesn't like change. So he was ditching her plant, and so he brought on that crisis. So that
yeah.
was
Right.
how he learned his lesson.
Now, I would definitely say, like, this overall, I mean, the kid almost, yes, he came to the realization that, oh, I may not like change, but I can't, control it, and I should speak up about what I did. Now, do this, and we have this twice in the episode, but the non-verbal communication between the Professor and Miss Frizzle and, the current Miss Frizzle and herself from 30 years in the future. Like, the non-verbal communication between all three of those characters was spot on. Like, yeah, I know what you're thinking. Yeah, I remember this happening. So, it was just good to see that they said that the, the adults knew what was going on before the kids actually knew what was happening. I mean, that's pretty much typically everyday life, I would believe. So, yeah. But, in the end, like, almost coming to accept the change, and I didn't mention this at the beginning because I was serious for this point, but the part he accepted the change was he placed the plan where Professor Frizzle's mug used to be, signifying that he accepted the change. He believes that the ecosystem is balanced now in the classroom, and that he can continue to get the education that he needs to get.
Exactly. Now, here's the fact that I don't know if people realized when they did the Magic School Bus, they were actually taking science, things that you learn in science. And we're talking about the ecosystem, the Galapagos. Now, I knew I could just not, what was I going to say? Galapagos Islands is actually there. It is facts. 600 miles off the coast of Ecuador lie the volcanic islands of the Galapagos Islands, famous for a wealth of unique plants and animals nowhere else in the world. The islands were a source of Darwin's theory of evolution. Well, we won't go into that, but they are actually there. They lie 600 miles off the coast of Ecuador. So they're there. They have their own ecosystem that they thrive on and everything, and that's why they try not to let anything come to those islands that's going to mess that up. So I think that when we think of cartoons, and some cartoons that's make believe and everything else, we have a cartoon here that actually takes science that we know and put it into a cartoon for kids to understand a whole lot better than the humdrum we used to have, lecture type style growing up and everything, compared to now it's more like a hands-on type science class. Because, even in my years of going to school, it wasn't until high school when we got into science like biology and chemistry and everything. It was hands-on. It was to read the book and the teacher taught you, and there may be some hands-on here and there and everything, but not like it is now. And That's one thing I did like about watching the original School Magic School Bus and this one. They took actual things that we learn in science and made it fun to learn.
Yeah, and a lot of times what they would do in the classes when they would show us in the classroom, they would show the episodes that were relevant to what you were currently learning in class.
Mm-hmm.
So you wouldn't necessarily watch them like in the order. The teacher would pick out the episode that, okay, this is what we're going over right now, so this is what we're going to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Now, you're talking about old school stuff because yes, we they had the old, I forget what it's called now. Kind of like a projector, but it was on a screen. It was,
And you
but
would
this,
write on it.
huh?
And you would write on it.
Yeah, they could write on it, but it showed up on the chalkboard or something other.
Yeah,
The
the
different slides, and they put, that's how sometimes, and then as they got into
yeah.
high school, things had gotten better, but,
Hey,
Hey, dude.
Terry
Hey,
Grace.
Terry, that was our hands on sometimes also, or a film.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought it was interesting because um, we used to have Netflix and we got Anastasia to watch. We watched the original and then we would watch one of the new ones. And she likes both of them. So she always had a hard time, I asked her which one she likes best. I said, but when I did the one with the Galapagos Island, we looked it up and I was like, see, the islands are real and this is what it shows. It has its own ecosystem that, they try not to have anything come there to disrupt it and everything. And we thought that was pretty cool.
I will say I felt so I went and looked up what the target age group for Magic School Bus should be.
Okay.
And they said it's for 5 and up. And to me, I honestly think that's kind of low because I think, especially the subjects they were tackling,
Yeah,
this is more of
no.
like a third, fourth, fifth grade,
Yeah.
thing where they're more like 8 years old, 8, 9, 10 type age
Yeah.
range, especially when
Yeah.
they start talking about the invasive species.
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
that was something I never even heard that terminology in elementary school.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is definitely more adaptable to eighth grade level
Yeah.
of education. I mean, my niece is currently 6, and I wouldn't expect her to follow along with what this show is teaching at her age.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, she could probably watch it and enjoy the show, but like so much stuff they're talking about, it's just going to go like whoop
yep,
right over her head. Unless she watches it enough times that it sinks in, which with it being on Netflix in this case, you know, kids could do that because I know kids that will sit there and watch a particular TV episode over and over and over and over and over
yeah,
again.
yeah, no
Just
doubt,
like the way I watch all the John Wick stuff over and over and over again.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, no doubt that they will learn something from it, but I'm like you. I believe it's a bit of older age,
You know what? You
and
know what I think they'll learn from it, DJ, from the first episode?
what?
They'll learn how to plant smack somebody.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get DJ's niece to watch that thing about 30 times. She's gonna come over and start smacking DJ. I mean, and that thing,
no,
that plant didn't just regular smack. It actually wrapped like one of the vines around the neck. Like it held the child by the neck and was like, pa, pa,
yeah,
pa. And that was pretty hardcore. That was like, ooh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, no, I got
That
it.
plant, that was like mafia style. It meant business.
That was an
Yeah.
invasive species. It's supposed to be an invasive,
Well,
be
and I
mean.
love how I thought it was funny because it was the Miss Frizzle, had said this is how the plant, but she said it's like the plant that should never leave the pot. And like the minute the plant comes out the pot, it literally grows like 10 times the size in like seconds.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? It goes from this cute little, almost like Venus flytrap looking type plant to like little shop of horrors in like no time.
Yeah,
Right? I expected that thing to be like, feed me Seymour.
yeah, no, I mean, definitely, you don't expect that kind of, you know, character from a little Venus flytrap with the plant. Uh, but, I will say that this episode and the entire lesson in it was good to a point, and I would give it like a six honestly, like 6.5 because it was a good episode, but overall, and I will go more into this when we talk about the second episode. But overall, this show is not one I would watch over and over again. So, yeah.
What about you, Jason?
So I'm actually going to hold the right to reserve my ratings and rate the overall show after we talk about the second episode. And there's a reason for that, and y'all will understand shortly.
All
Alright.
right.
I don't want to rate just the this particular episode right now. I want to wait and do the big reveal at the end.
Yeah, no, like, I do have a overall rating for, the show, but just,
Well, mine's
yeah.
unique. Mine is going to be
No,
unique because of
I
my
bet,
experience with the show.
I bet it will. I bet it will. But anyways, yeah, that's what I thought. How about you, Nancy?
For this episode, I would give it like a 7.5, 8, because it did teach on both ends about the ecosystem, how things need to be kept in balance, and then it did teach from the other side of when you don't like change. You know, sometimes change can be good, but don't try to interrupt that change because you never know what surprises may be coming along. So that's why I give it that rating.
Cool. Uh, so, why don't we go ahead and transfer to what I'm gonna officially call the Bradley episode. And,
That girl
we,
needed a spanking.
I highly agree. Okay, guys, so to start this off, the class is putting on a play of the Three Little Pigs, a storybook classic, but the the director of the play to get the point across for me and James at least. She was a dictator and wanted everything the whole way without input from anyone else. And you know, yes, she needed a good spanking for that. So,
She even said at one point in time, because I'm the director and we're going to do it the way that I want to do it. It doesn't matter what you want to do. He even said something almost exactly like that to the other kids.
yeah,
Now, granted, there are people that are like that in the world, so that's kind of one way I like this because it shows you how to deal with those type of people.
Well, and the honest truth is, when you're dealing with this age range, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that in younger kids. No matter
Mhm.
how we teach our kids, they all have some aspect of that, some element to it, where they want to do it their way, and they're not open to other ways. And even as adults, I mean, there's certain things I only want to do it my way. I get that, but I'm not going to be a roy. I can't say
Pain in
the
the
word
butt.
I wanted to say to describe her, but I'm not.
well,
I'm not going to be. I'm not going to be the way she was about things.
yeah, well, let me say for ours, and just because I'm saying it, it's like, she was a little pain in the ass. So, that's how we feel about it. That's what it is.
You take this.
Anyways, yeah,
And
the
DJ's being nice compared to what I would have been.
yeah, but no, I was just, she was just annoying, and I would honestly say if I was her teacher, I would have taken that I would have took that microphone away within the first 5 minutes of her having it. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
in an actual classroom, she would have not been allowed to. That show would have lasted 1 minute in the real world
yeah,
because it would have been shut down way too fast. And honestly, I think so. This is where, yes, I agree to the emotional behavioral education piece of it. I think they took this one too far. Because to me, it made it really hard to watch. They made her so annoying, so controlling. I really, really, really struggled to watch this episode because I honestly did not want to see her. I did not want to hear her voice. And personally, I feel like if I were to continue watching the rest of the shows, I will always judge that character because of this episode. Like I don't like that character at all now, just because of the way she acted for 90-95% of this episode.
yeah,
And I think they could have done. They needed to tone that down. They could have got the point across without taking it as far as they did with her, because to me it made it not enjoyable. It really brought out the as a parent, that girl is true nightmare fuel.
yeah. No,
Right.
I agree. I mean, like, I I wouldn't let my niece act like that at all. So, you know, hey, Beverly lives here.
Hey, Beverly.
But, yeah, I mean, I definitely would have set her down right away. No
I would have
matter.
introduced that girl to the plant from the first episode.
Yeah,
Now, I don't think in the rest of the episodes she's that way.
She's probably not because she wasn't that way in the first one, right? It's just
Right.
where, and this is what I was talking about earlier on when we were talking about the first episode was a comparison of the two episodes. They single out one of the kids in the group. From what I'm seeing so far, in each episode, they single one of them out and they give that child a flaw so they can give a behavioral, emotional, or morale type education lesson.
yeah,
I just I think they took it way too far with her. Like in the first one, I mean, like yeah, he was a little annoying and like the kid didn't like change and he caused a lot of problems because of it. But it
but
wasn't I didn't want to immediately press the pause button and walk away from it. Like
Right.
I'm
yeah,
getting to I had to keep stopping this because I've been like, I don't know if I can continue watching this. It was just it really got to me. I couldn't. I screamed at her. I was like, shut your stupid face.
yeah. No, this was definitely one that will. If I was watching it on my own, I would have paused it like 5 or 6 times just to get a break from her. So, yeah. Hmm. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, the whole, you know, educational story of, you know, wind turbulence and, you know, flexibility did help them finish their soul pits house. Now, I will say, using a little more, you know, backhoe several on the phase, I will admit that might have been overdoing it, but you know, it got the point across that they needed to build a strong foundation for the house that
And
they were wanting to build.
yeah, and I really like the science parts they went over in this. So I'm glad I was able to kind of get past the girl. I liked how they were showing the airflow and the current, and that's one thing that in both episodes is like the kids have these special goggles they put on, and when they
Yeah,
put the goggles on, it's almost like they're and there's actually real goggles like that I know they use in some plants manufacturing, probably in research and development departments, where you can have programs that will kind of show what to do and where to go. So when they put these goggles on, it shows like how the airflow in the different channels of air is actually flowing like over a house, around the house, inside the house. And they explain how that airflow and the speed of it and how it whips around here, and also how the airflow in the house affects everything. So I thought that was really cool. I really like the science in this one, And I'm a big science nerd. I think a lot of y'all probably could have guessed that anyway, but I love science. It's always been one of my favorite subjects. And I thought this was really cool from the science aspect.
Oh yeah, definitely because I liked it when they became trees, and then how they were saying like, well, the ended up talking about the root system, how it was a foundation down the ground, so that when the wind blew the tree just kind of swayed and moved with the wind and everything, but it wouldn't knock it down. So
Yeah.
that's how they came up with how to build the little pig's house, so the wolf wouldn't knock it down. And I can understand how they had her that way because I think it was her parents who were had books or something or other, but then they had the other girl that always wrote reviews about plays and everything. So she's stressed
Yeah.
out about how she's this other girl. I can't remember her name now. I just saw it. Was going to think about the play and everything. So she's kind of like really not listening to her classmates because she's off in her own little world, Janet, because she's thinking of Janet, what Janet is going to say about the play, and her parents, if her parents are going to like what she does and everything, and it's no excuse of being acting that way either. But they kind of like show sometimes when people stress out, they don't think correctly the way they're supposed to think.
Peer pressure.
Yeah.
Yep.
But in Nancy, you brought up a good point because one thing, this came out in 2018, and they didn't go back to how Magic School Bus originally came out in the mid 90s, 94, I think is when the first
Mhm.
aired, right?
Mm-hmm.
They did take this from what we have in this day and age, technology wise, right? So when she was talking about the girl does reviews, she was talking about the girl does blogs. She does an online blog and she posts and people reads, and it shows that internet reach that
Yeah.
we have at that point in time and even now with things like what we're doing right now, right? And
Exactly.
it shows that, and it shows the kind of impact that has because we didn't have that back when we were in school.
Mm-mm.
We didn't have to
No.
worry about if we were doing a play. You don't have to worry about somebody who didn't come actually hearing too much about it. If your school had like a little newspaper or a column, they might write about it there, but it's going to be to a certain degree. They're not going to let them put so much bad stuff in that.
Yeah.
Um,
No.
but nowadays they do have that added stress of somebody could do a video and post a video with bloopers and stuff all over it, and make fake news and throw it up on YouTube or Twitch or not Twitch, TikTok,
Yep.
right?
Right.
And create a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety and stuff like that. So that was a cool aspect that they did take it from the type of peer pressure that kids deal with in this day and age because it's a lot different than what I had to deal with.
Oh yeah, definitely. We didn't have a school newspaper, because we were small, but you know, things got, like yearbook. We had a yearbook at the end of the year and everything, and everybody's wanted their picture in it, and then you didn't get your picture, and it's people. Some kids got offended, and it was just like you can't put everybody in there, but there was kind of like a pressure type thing of from because I was on the yearbook staff of who to put in there. So from that end of it, it was like you took pictures, and if people didn't get in there, they would get mad at you and everything. And I was just like, no, I'm not, that's not for me. But there's best spectrums of it.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
nowadays the yearbooks, it's all about how much you're going to pay to be in that yearbook.
Yeah.
Everything in the yearbook is for sale. Everything in there is for sale.
Yeah.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah. I will probably say, like, I only got into your book as many times as I did, because I was in so many clubs that I did do it.
DJ got in the yearbook because he was a ladies' man.
No,
Y'all go
no.
look at his Facebook page. There's all these pictures, all these women hang all over DJ.
Man.
DJ's a little pickup artist. I bet he's all like, girl, you want to go for a ride in my convertible? Look, it's convertible. There's no top. Come on, sit in my lap.
Man. I have a story about that, but that's for
Hold
another.
on. He's
Yeah,
got
yeah,
stories.
you do.
That's for another night, and y'all will laugh at that. So, yeah. But no, I mean, with this episode, like, it was okay with me. I mean, I like the first episode way more than this one, and honestly, I would, as a standalone episode, I would rate this like a 3 out of 10. But that's me. But overall, as the whole show, I'm sorry, but the show itself is a 4.5 out of 10 for me, because even though those that not solve the factor for me, that didn't hold me over for what it was. So, yeah.
And Nancy, I'm going to let you go before I talk because I'm about to get just slightly a little bit more complex with mine tonight.
Okay. Well, as far as the overall show and the science part and everything, yes, I'll give it a 6 to a 7. As far as how they had the girl act and everything, I'm like, DJ, that's like a 2 or 3 because yes, there are people who act like that and you learn how to deal with them. But then on the other hand, they kind of went really too extreme on that. And I know that there are kids that way, and they're what so-called mean girls or whatever. But still, to the point of if you got a 5-year-old watching this, you know, to me, we had Anastasia was young when that one came out, and I was just, well, yeah, because she's 10, so she watched, I guess, 7 or 8. So we still had to sit there. I sit there and you don't act like that because people aren't going to want to be around you if you act like that. So there's a good lesson there too. I think they, like Jason and them said, they just went to way extreme with that.
Yep. So for my ratings, I'm rating this two different ways. And I'm rating it as number one for myself, something that I would watch and enjoy. And then the other way I'm going to rate it is as a parent of, if I think this is a good show for kids, for younger kids. So from the first aspect, this is not a show I would ever watch. I would have never watched this if I was in school and the teacher played it. That's the type of that's when I would watch it. And in school, we liked it when these kind of shows were played because we didn't have to do regular schoolwork for 30 minutes. That's the only reason I liked Reading Rainbow as a kid, because I didn't have to worry about writing stuff for 30 minutes. But then as soon as it ended, we had to spend the rest of the class period writing about what we saw in the stupid show. So it had like ups and downs to it. So on a personal level, this is something I would never watch. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm rating it like a 2, right? And it's not what I would watch. Now, from a parent perspective, and this is where I'll go and break down the first and second episode a little bit. Overall, as a parent, for this show for my kids to watch, right? All the episodes, whatever, I would definitely give it, I'm going to say a 6.5, and there's a reason for that based off of these 2 episodes. The first episode, when it comes to the behavioral lesson and it comes to the science lesson, I think they did a really good job on both of those. And I'm going to rate both of those as a 7.5, right? I think they did a really good job. However, it could have gotten a higher rating when it comes down to it because I think the invasive species part of it was a little too much for what some of the target audience that they're claiming their show is supposed to be for, right? Where it says 5 and up. Because you talk about invasive species to a 5-year-old, and it's just like they don't know what you're talking about. They're not going to pay attention to it. They can't even say the word invasive. I can barely say the word invasive. Right? So it's just not that to me, that part of it, I thought that was, if they had said this show was for 8 and up, I might have been a little bit more lenient about it. I still think the invasive species thing is something that you learn about a bit later in life, but it's cool to get some exposure earlier. That's cool. But I like the whole, Galapagos Islands thing. I've actually always been fascinated with Galapagos Islands, even if I can barely pronounce it. Nancy, don't feel bad because I'm just like that too. Now, when it comes to the second episode, to me, the second episode, that's like a 5. And it's a 5 because the behavioral part of it, I'm rating that a 3. And the reason I say that is I think the lesson they were trying to get across is a good lesson to do. I think they drew it out way too long. And to me, that way too long, because it wasn't until like close to right at the end where you really started to understand and the impact of what she did. And it could almost encourage bad behavior, especially if a kid loses interest and doesn't watch the episode all the way through. It could encourage that kind of behavior. I think they just did it very poorly. I think what they were trying to come across with was a good concept. It's needed to be seen. They did a bad job of it. The science to this, I'm giving them like a 6.5 to 7 because I actually really, matter of fact, I'm going to say it was a 7.5 because this particular part of the science, I even like that more than what they did in the first episode. The wind currents and everything. And I really like what they do in both episodes with the goggles you put on, and it shows how things work. I think that's really cool and smart because that technology does exist. You're probably not going to see it in a classroom because it is expensive technology, but it does exist. And I think it's cool that they, had that there where the kids could, would show how things are working to what they're actually looking at. So I think that part was really good. But the behavioral just brought it down. And because of that, if I'm assuming that every other episode could be as bad as this one, based off of the 2 I've seen, then that's why I'm saying, like, overall, what would I say, like a 5 or for the overall show, just because it's the assumption of without having to go watch everything else, that every other episode could end up annoying the crap out of me and being something that I'm not quite sure if my kids want to be, I want them exposed to that type of behavior done that way for that amount of time until they finally say, oh, by the way, this is bad. Don't do that.
Exactly.
But yeah, I would never, ever, ever watch this as a person. I will never boot this back up. If I could go back into Netflix and make it so this gets purged, I might have to look and see if that's a thing. Because I'm going to have to go in there and hit the dislike on this, or else they're going to start suggesting this type of junk back at my Netflix. So I got to make sure I hit that dislike. So they will get a thumbs down from me. So it's not all over my stinking profile. I need to make a profile specifically when I have to watch this kind of crap because of DJ Shook.
Yeah.
But see, because like I said, the original Magic School Bus from 1994 to 1997, I sat there and watched it with my kids. So, as a parent back then, yes, we still made sure that what they were watching, because I watched a lot of stuff with my son, you know, because I was that parent. I want to know what you're watching. What is it teaching you? Is it good? Is it a yes on this or a no on it and everything? And the new one, there is similarities, but there are also differences in it also. So, I don't remember without going back and watching the original as a kids being, I'll say, annoying as or whiny, quiny, baby, throw a fit type thing. And in the original, I don't recall them being like that.
I have no idea.
So that's why I was like, there are, the similarities of the science and everything and all that and the music as far as the characters and how they behave. I think there are some differences.
Now, I also have to say, Nancy, when it comes to watching your kids' stuff with the kids or whenever as a parent, right?
Right.
There were times where my intentions were always good, but I probably should have never won Parent of the Year because some of the shows that I would watch with them, and I would find myself laughing like really loud at parts, and they would laugh with me too. And as soon as we're done laughing, I'm like, by the way, you should never do that. Like, this should not be a show you're watching. Like, yes, we thought that was funny. Never do that. But, so I wouldn't like, if something funny that was wrong came on, I would laugh at it. I would just be like, that's some funny stuff. Don't do that.
Yeah. And I would definitely say, like, being good with parents who are also into cartoons. There's some cartoons that admittedly I shouldn't have been watching as a kid, but I was allowed to. Hey, Anastasia.
Hey,
Hi, Jason.
Anastasia.
Jason.
Hi, Jason.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Who's still here? So just sit right there for a minute.
Now, let me ask, do you do you guys have any other thoughts on this you want to share?
I'm good.
Jackson?
Don't ever make me watch that again.
Yeah,
Watch what?
that was from
He did not
okay.
like the Magic School Bus laws again.
But Anastasia, that's because it's the type of stuff my kids would watch and younger kids would enjoy. And my kids are now teenagers. One of them's already moved out the house. So it's the kind of show I don't have to watch anymore, so I don't want to watch it.
Yeah, no,
I got enough of that junk already.
I mean, trust me, if there's some shows that Jason and I would want to watch, and I'm gonna say this, he may just comment all, but I would believe as a joke, Jason, you watch Hut Time, if you know what I mean by that.
Maybe, maybe not.
Okay, guys,
He's
so.
not going to confirm nor deny.
Hey, you want to know something, Jason?
What's that, Anastasia?
You're probably going to have to watch the Magic School Bus Rides again sometime, because you're probably going to have grandchildren that watch it.
And that's fine. And when they watch it, they can watch it at their parents' house.
What if they come over to visit?
Okay, so it's what is the time for?
Time to spin the wheel of cartoons?
Yes, it is.
When they come to Granddad's house, I'm gonna make them watch The Simpsons. Here, education.
And tell DJ what to do.
Spin the wheel!
Okay, and next week we'll watch the
Oh,
Again?
Popeye the Show.
Again?
Yes, we're revisiting some of the other ones for the second episode.
Okay, so Popeye next week.
Sweet.
And now, because I heard blue, James, what's up? And I know you must like Popeye if I hear you vocalize some.
I'm just saying. I'll gladly pay you on Tuesday for a hamburger today.
And if you want to next week, that's totally up to you.
We'll see what happens. I'll see what my schedule looks like.
Okay, just let me know.
But I have to be honest. I was sitting there and I saw like a few different things on that wheel. I was like, "You stop on." I won't say them out loud yet, but I'm like, if it stops on this, or that, I will definitely watch that and sit in on it.
Well,
I'm not saying that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was one of them, but I'm just saying.
well, I mean, I definitely know one of them. And let me say this. If we ever do this a particular show, okay, Jason will have to be here, not to review it, but
DJ, just go on and say the name of the show. Tell everybody you're talking about Dragon Prince.
yeah, I'm talking about Dragon Prince, and Jason would just have to be here to set me up.
Nope. Next time we do Dragon Prince, we're just going to have at it. We're just going to say, look, spoiler alerts, we're not holding anything back, and we're just going to spill everything. Because you need that episode. You need an episode where you come up here and you just let it all out.
Yeah, I do.
Well, you're going to explode, DJ. You're going to explode. There's going to be little dragon princes flying out of you all over the place.
Yeah. You're right. I do need that. So, yeah. But,
Hey, DJ, I have an idea.
yeah. What's up?
Okay, not next week, but after the week that Grandma has her turn, the week after Grandma's turn, I have an idea for my cartoon review.
Okay. Tell Grandma have her message me, okay?
Okay.
Alright. Guys, we will see y'all next week. Have a good one.
Have a good day.
And, bye.
Bye.